I love Dunsparce. Something about doofy little guys with angel wings and stupid faces just makes me smile. I love them. And so today, I want to dedicate this inaugural video to going over every single Dunsparce card released in the Pokémon TCG. Let's not waste any time and get right in with Neo Discovery Dunsparce, the very first Dunsparce ever printed. Its horrifying glare has a coin flip to paralyze, on top of its earth-shattering 10 damage. I don't know if this is exactly joke card territory just yet, but it's certainly not good, not even for the time. Out of all the Dunsparce art we will see, this is one of my favorite easily. Its thick lines and watercolor style gives it a very childish look. You very rarely see Dunsparce actually in a cave, and it is here that he looks most content. No thoughts, cave empty. Japan only promo Dunsparce. Paralyzing Gaze is a straight downgrade from Glare, just removing the damage, but now it has a second attack. Base 10, flip a coin to do 20 more, why that could one-shot the last Dunsparce, clearly a straight upgrade in the long run. Also, gosh darn, this art is equally cute. Look at them all just floating around without a care in the world. Oh, if only I could join them. To be a Dunsparce, drifting in the wind. Skyridge Dunsparce. A small sculpted Dunsparce, poorly trimmed out and photoshopped into a Nintendo 64 game. Look, I know it was 2002, but I could literally do better. Our first Dunsparce with a passive. This one can retreat for free if your opponent is an evolved Pokemon. At least he understands his limits. Its attack does 10 and sleeps the opponent, expanding Dunsparce's range in terms of status ailments. Truly a toolbox of a Pokemon. A toolbox full of paper clips, but some sort of box nonetheless. Okay, up to now, we've just been messing around, let's be real. But what if I told you that a Dunsparce card was once meta, and played in every serious deck? Good enough to get reprinted, not just in battle decks in championship decks at the time, but even got a legacy reprint in Celestial Storm not too long ago. Enter the Behemoth EX Sandstorm Dunsparce. For 1 energy, you may search your deck for 3 basic Pokemon and place them onto your bench. After that, you can switch Dunsparce. There have been plenty of Pokemon who exist just to put other Pokemon on the bench, but none that do it as well as this slippery snake. Especially back in the day where you were allowed to attack first. This card was genuinely very good at the time. There's not many jokes to be made about it, and even now, it's still sort of the best at what it does. Good enough, in fact, to warrant EX Legend Maker Dunsparce to be made. Its Pokebody, Deadlock, prevents your opponent's Dunsparce from attacking. Now, this feels like a joke card, looking at it from today's perspective, but let's go over its attacks first. 1 energy, draw 2 cards from the bottom of your deck. Tripping Turn confuses your opponent and switches the Sparse once you're done drawing cards. These attacks aren't great, but they aren't horrible, which actually make for interesting deck building design. Dunsparce countering Dunsparce means that you gotta decide between the more potent one, or the mediocre one that counters your opponent's good one, and since they're both Dunsparce, you can't really run both. Nowadays, this one doesn't make any sense, which means it's only gotten funnier in hindsight. This is a very good boy. I like this one. And just like that, Dunsparce go back to being bad. Snakehook draws a card, Bite and Run does 10 and then switches Dunsparce. The most interesting thing about this one is the fact that it doesn't need energy to attack, but it's hardly the setup cards of its ancestors. Also, where's it going? Perhaps it's training itself to be stronger. Platinum Dunsparce shows the fruits of its labor, being able to search a whole basic Pokemon to put on your bench. Good job, buddy, you're 1/3 of the way there. Spring Out lets you attack your opponent's bench Pokemon for 10, allowing you to finish their Dunsparce out while they're trying to escape. Truly the next best Dunsparce. Yeah, that's sarcasm, buddy. Don't look so proud of yourself. You've actually managed to regress in levels. Heart Gold Soul Silver Dunsparce. Coin flip for paralysis, 20 damage attack that bounces back to the hand. Almost 10 years have passed since Neo Discovery, and we have thoroughly regressed back to said era. The thing that really makes me bitter though, is that this is our Heart Gold Soul Silver Dunsparce in an era of the TCG with some of the best artwork. We get a stock image on a plain background. This makes me madder than anything. Bad. Bad Dunsparce. Fade yourself out. Unleash Dunsparce. What an appropriate set name for this artwork. I don't think it's possible to make a Dunsparce look more tough than this right here. This is to go even further beyond! Its attack does 10 damage and lets you draw until you have 6 cards. That's actually some decent draw power. I could see this being a powerful card in a format where you're only allowed to use colorless Pokemon with 60 hit points. That's also the color yellow and less than 5 feet tall. Long? Either way, I'm bold enough to call this the 3rd, maybe 4th best Dunsparce so far. Boundaries Cross Dunsparce is our first Dunsparce actually legal and expanded, and boy is it a doozy. Draw 2 cards or flip a coin for the chance to not get your wings kicked inwards next turn. I think the artwork is showing it trying to fly, but it looks more like someone just kicked it down a hill. I think that's what happens when you get tails. XY Dunsparce is a bit interesting. It's got Glare again, a staple at this point, but Second Bite actually has some potential. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Being able to double the damage on your opponent's Pokemon can actually be a strong finishing move, provided you have other, better Pokemon to do all the heavy lifting for him. Not worth building a serious deck around, but good enough that you could build something to dunk on your friends with. Roaring Skies Dunsparce, I'm not even going to bother reading, because look at that art! Yukimori, you have redeemed yourself after Skyridge. Mwah! This adorable little guy looks straight out of Pikmin, and it pains me to think that this tiny Dunsparce is living somewhere that's not on my shelf. I want it. I want to own it. Breakpoint Dunsparce continues the trend of Dunsparce that build mediocre advantage, and it makes me wonder if the Pokemon Company Incorporated is simply scared of making colorless Pokemon good at this point. Dunsparce was good one time, and we feel its effects ripple onwards for years to come. Aside from the Celestial Storm reprint, it wouldn't be until the Sword and Shield block that we get our final and most recent Dunsparce in Darkness Ablaze, cementing Dunsparce as the joke cards. 20 damage for no effect, and an ability, Final Dig. If this Pokemon is knocked out by your opponent's attack, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. There truly is no reason for this card to exist. To the point that you might think that cards are missing for context, but there's nothing. Such a useless, meaningless ability can only really be one final dig at the Pokemon. On one last positive note, I must say that this is some of the most gorgeous art Dunsparce has ever gotten, and I will gladly binder it up despite how bad it is, because in some ways, that's what makes Dunsparce so charming to begin with. And yeah, that's all the Dunsparces, every single one. That's the end of the video. Yay! Woo! Yeah! Thanks for watching.